Like, I cannot imagine it's going to cost more than $4,000. It's just sucking the fat out from underneath my eyeballs. That's a reasonable
Is that
request.
fat? Like, I mean, is it?
Yeah.
That's what it is?
Do you know that I had a headshot photographer one time was taking my pictures when I was 23 and said, "Oh, yeah, that stuff underneath your eyes, that's just fat. We could suck that out." I was like, I'm 23. I am beautiful, ma'am. And this is Gaytriarchs. Okay, so I think a couple episodes ago I told you about there was a little girl in my son's class who, by the way, is super annoying, but that's another story, who keeps asking out loud why Emmett doesn't have a mom.
Oh,
do you remember this?
Really?
Yeah. Like,
no,
why
I don't
doesn't
remember
Emmett
this.
have a mom? Yeah,
I bet our 7 listeners remember it, but you know me. I mean, my mind is a sieve because why?
You're
I'm tired as fuck and I'm a dad.
Yeah.
And I'm old.
And,
anyway.
Yeah. But so she would be like, why doesn't Emmett have a dad or a mom? Like really loud. And this could have been I guess, something great, but I wanted to start off by saying, like, I had kind of planned for this, but not from a 4-year-old annoying little girl.
Yeah.
But she says it out loud so kids can hear it, teachers can hear it, but Emmett can hear it. And so my response was, oh, he doesn't have a mom. He has 2 dads. And then I continued to, pack his bag and get it ready. And obviously I'm performing it as casual and as upbeat as possible. But anyway, so this girl, again, the other day, out loud, when there's 2 people in the classroom, says really loud, why doesn't Emmett have a mommy? And I could see Emmett looking at me. And I just, again, I was like, he has two dads. He doesn't have a mom. Isn't that great? But what was really
isn't that great? I've definitely done that. I mean, overcompensating for sure, but trying.
Totally.
Anyway.
But I noticed the teachers watching me and kind of whispering to each other. So I took it as like a very kind of like teachable moment of like, this is how we talk about this. Mm-hmm. And this
directly and simply.
But directly and simply, and not as if we're like exposing a cancer diagnosis. This is like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like, oh, like I like bacon and eggs for breakfast. You like cereal. And then we move on with our day. Yeah, so I try to be like, oh, he doesn't have a mommy. He has two daddies. And then leaving it there so they can kind of absorb my tone and my point of view about it. Anyway, I just wanted to start by saying, like, this shit is going to come up a lot for those of you who have parents that are about to be in school or who don't have kids yet. And so start kind of rehearsing your answers now because it doesn't stop. The lady at the grocery store is going to ask.
Definitely doesn't.
The little annoying girl in his class is going to ask. Yep. So anyway.
But also that is a cross to bear for us in that, I think in the lifespan, the parenting span of every gay dad and gay mom and whatnot, somebody's always going to kind of piss you off by assuming that you're straight or whatever, or have a reaction like, oh, that's so different. And I think we all kind of go through a grieving stage of being like, I was so mad, and we're all incensed and we're like, how dare this world? But you know what? It is just what we have to deal with. And you can kind of choose not to get upset about it.
I also think it's cute that you think anyone has ever assumed I was straight. That's very cute. That's cute of you.
That's funny. I'm with you entirely, but it is across the bear. And it's funny to see on social media, I think, new dads just getting absolutely irate about it. And you kind of be like, listen,
we have to do it. Yeah.
It's just the reality. And
let's fight for change, but also like, this is going to be your day-to-day reality. So prepare for it. Don't just be, irate when it happens.
Yep. Agreed. So speaking of getting irate about things and being offended for legitimate reasons, my daughter is in middle school, and I am lucky enough to be at a middle school, or she's lucky enough to be at a middle school where they do a musical. Like, they really go through the efforts of, and I mean, I didn't grow up with a school musical in middle school. I don't know about you. And it's a lot, and it's a lot for the teachers to take on. Can you imagine teaching kids all day long and then staying? I mean, I'm sure she's paid for it, but we know it ain't handsomely. She stays to rehearse, 70 wild animals with hormones raging to 11, 12, 13-year-olds to actually step kick at the same time. Like,
no, not interested. No.
Sainthood. Anyway.
No.
My daughter, despite the fact that she is naturally talented, absolutely refuses to do anything remotely like her dad's. You know, she is determined to be an athlete because, I mean, I understand. She needs to do her rebellion. That's fine. But also, I'm like, well, you know what? Theater kids are really, really fun. And, you know, it's the theater kids are the ones who like go on to be really creative and I think successful, whether or not they go into theater or not. But like, who doesn't want to be part of the theater crowd, right? Even though it's sort of a joke, but like, let's be honest, they're great, right? She said, Dad, I'm not going to hang out with the theater kids because because theater is just therapy for emo kids. I'm like, wait, what?
Wait, why is she being accurate? Why is she being accurate?
Theater is emo therapy is her actual statement. And you're right, though. It's funny because it's true. And that's okay.
That's true. Yeah, it's a home. It's a home for the broken. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is like that's why it's great is because like you know what I mean. No,
you're not pretending to be perfect. You're not pretending to be a mean girl. You're not dominating other people. You're just being a fun person, right? I mean, come on. Yeah. So anyway, eventually she will figure that out and hopefully go through her own emo therapy or her whatever therapy it is to be in theater. So good for her. Yeah. Speaking of theater, did you know that Dolly is writing her own musical about her life? It's going to be a biopic musical about Dolly Parton.
I did not know that, and I saw it on the worksheet, and I was like, my heart started skipping a beat for two reasons. One, I was super excited because I fucking love Dolly Parton. It's in my gay DNA. But the second part of my heart palpitations, other than I'm old and have heart disease, is I am afraid of them getting it wrong. But when you say Dolly's in charge, that makes me happy, right? Because I don't want to see a bunch of drag queens performing her life in a silly but I want like a raw, real. I don't want like a backdrop of country roads and some her singing on stage center. I want something real and organic. So I have a feeling that if she's going to be on the top of this, she's going to write a lot of new music. That's amazing. Keep some of the I feel good about it.
Yeah, I feel really good about it. And the wonderful thing about her is her authenticity, of course. I mean, I know I'm stating the obvious, but she's so authentic in her inauthenticity and her self-awareness, 100%. Which is just so fucking fabulous. And I believe that she doesn't mind exposing warts, and she's gonna do it. And also be like, I'm not going to show you these warts here because it is my story to tell, but it'll be, you just know it's going to be great.
But she perfectly exemplifies what I think a lot of gays do with like taking back ammunition from your oppressor and hold, like us saying the word faggot, right? Like you can't use that word because I'm now using that word. And the way she's like, oh yeah, my tits are fake and my nails are fake and blah, blah, blah. Like she's taking it away from all of you and she still wins. I just worship that woman, and I'm sure you do too.
I'm sure that everybody knows the story, but it bears repeating. I think that I love her story about how, I think I heard her on Oprah or somewhere talk about how she saw a woman that looked like Dolly of, well, let's say the 80s when she was a little kid. And she said to her mom, hey mom, what's the story with that girl, that woman? And her mom said, well, she's just trash. And she said, oh, well, then I want to grow up to be trash. And so she embodies entirely everything that she saw back then. And I mean, again, it's I'm not saying that she is trash by any stretch, or people who want to present themselves as Dolly is trash, but like she knows who she is and what she looks like and all the things. So good for Dolly.
She's not trash, but you know who is trash?
Do tell.
Us. Trash. Garbage.
And you know what?
People. Yeah.
And we are embodying that and hoping to be trashier the older as we grow up. When I grow up, I want to be trash. But speaking of growing up, then also, once more, a little bit of gay news. You're welcome here at America's Finest News Source. Did you know that the Washington State Legislature is currently proposing a bill that is the antithesis of anything going on in Florida? Big surprise. I mean, they're diametrically polar opposite states, both geographically and politically. Anyway, they are introducing a mandate to say you have to teach the history of marginalized populations, and that includes people of color, people with disabilities, people who are neurodiverse, those from religious backgrounds, and of course, the LGBTQ plus community. And that is good news for us. So let's hope it passes and spreads like wildfire so that we can bring it back to Dolly, have truth and authenticity in our history.
What about the history of 44-year-old men who eat popcorn on the couch?
That, I mean, you want to talk about an undiscovered, marginalized community?
Yeah, that's us.
Mm-hmm. Hey, write up your history chapter and send it to the Washington State Legislature, and I want to see that. Can we put that in our show notes or in our blog?
So yeah, put it on our blog. We could take a time machine back to 2003 and put it on our blog.
Here is my perennial worry as a father is, how much do you push your kid? How much do you say, no, get off the couch and we're going to go do something that you're suddenly scared of? Because it takes a lot to try something new and get in new circles of people and have to make new friends or just even new acquaintances. And so last year, my daughter said that she wanted to take tennis lessons. And I'm like, I'm thrilled to hear that. Let's do it. We go. She sees, we basically scouted the lesson. She said, those are 5-year-olds. And I'm like, sweetie, first of all, they're not 5, but sweetie, you don't have the tennis skills. So you need to start here and work up.
You suck, girl. You suck.
Girl, you suck, and you need to work hard so that you don't suck and move up a level, right? So just last night, I took her, not kicking and screaming, but definitely stomping, pouting, and screenagering and just staring at her phone with full contempt as I drove her over to this.
That's good.
That's hers, screenager.
Yeah.
Driving over to the tennis lesson. And she went in the class, and it was exactly the same kids that I saw last week. They are not 5 years old, although a couple might be pretty close to it. But there were some kids for the middle school as well. And she had a great time. But believe me, driving over there, I was like, maybe I just call her bluff. And I say, nope, that's fine. Then you're not doing it. And by the way, I'm going to take your phone away for an untold amount of time to cure my vindictiveness and cynicism. But like, no, I stayed calm and I'm like, you're going to do it. And I get it. It is scary to jump into new pools and to be in a new group of people. It is scary, but we can't let our kids just dictate that everything's scary so they don't do anything, right? Like, It's a balance. Sometimes you do have to say, yes, your mental health is important and you draw your limits, fine. But like, that's everybody's problem, right? From toddlers to geriatrics, it's tough to try new shit. But I mean, what's the point of living, right?
We put our son into swimming classes and it was pretty good and he was getting better. But then he was like, the pool was really cold. And every time we mentioned it afterwards, he was like, I don't want to go back. And I kept thinking, you need to learn how to swim.
Yes.
And then it's the same thing. We're like, do I want to carry him kicking and screaming every single day for 6 weeks? Or do I just want to give myself a break? And when I give myself a break, there's all no, I get it. The answer is whatever you do is wrong. That's the answer. Whatever you do is wrong. That's it.
In my case, she did her tennis lesson. She totally had a great time. She said, I sucked. I'm like, you didn't suck as much as some other kids. It's all right. I mean, but she found her niche and she had a good time. And she immediately walked out and I said, how was it? She said, it was fun. I said, do you want to do it again? She said, yeah, but I have to get new shoes because I cannot wear these shoes again next week.
Be honest. Were you wine drunk watching her? Be honest.
No. But Dryuary is over, so I was wine drunk afterwards.
I'm doing no sugar February, and it's day 2, and I want to jump off a bridge. So that's really fun. Anyway, speaking of jumping off a bridge, let's do our top 3 list, shall we?
Gaytriarchs top 3 list. 3, 2, 1.
What is this week's topic?
It's your topic. It's it's my topic. It's my it's my topic.
I'm ready for it. I can introduce it just like the best of them.
No, it's the top 3 things that your kid is going to tell his therapist about you. So it is my list because I knew that, and so I'll go first. So I'm gonna make mine way nicer than the actual traumas I'm.
Great.
But the first one's pretty bad. And number 3, I look at my stomach in the mirror every time I pass a mirror. Every time I pass a mirror, I look at myself, I hate myself, and I move on. And oh my God, my husband tries to kick me of this habit, and I just struggle with it, and I know my kids are watching. So number 1 is hating my body. Number 2, I do a full-out Eros Tour performance of whatever music is playing during breakfast. Every single day, I put Beyonce on, I put Whitney Houston, I put some sort of music that is dancey, and I do a full Broadway caliber performance for these children. And they look at me with such disdain, like, sit down, you old piece of shit. So number 2 is dancing during breakfast.
Truly with disdain they look at you, or just annoyance?
They're in
or
my son is now in the phase of, like, if I sing along with him or sing along to the music, he's like, stop singing. Stop singing or stop dancing. So he just looks at me like, stop dancing. You are too old for this. And number 1, the thing that my kid will tell his therapist about me is that I lie about so many things that I'm going to have to unwind. So, like, things like spicy water. That's not what seltzer water is called. The ice cream store is closed. No, it's not. The ice cream truck is out of ice cream when it plays music. No, it's not. So I'm going to have to unwind a bunch of lies that I just told him out of convenience when he's older. So that's my number 1.
Well, it's universally relatable. That's for sure. Okay, so for my top 3 things my kid is going to tell their therapist about me, number 3 is they grew up in a house with only one bathroom.
Oh my God. Mean, how do you do it?
We are talking about the entitlement factor of my kids, who I'm like, listen, I didn't exactly walk uphill both ways in the snow to go to school, but Jesus, you have it good. So yes, what a terrible life you led because we have one shower. I am so sorry to hear that. Number 2, this is embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. And this is a confessional.
We don't have any listeners, so it's fine. Nobody
because I'm a lunatic about my kids eating vegetables. We were at this hamburger place years ago, and they had broccoli on the menu. And I knew the hamburgers take forever because it's one of those overwrought, overdramatic hamburger places. And in the meantime, I said, "Oh, let's have some broccoli as an appetizer." Well,
is this when they like the soy sauce and they threw up and you didn't eat them anyway?
Okay, thanks for shitting on my number 2. Yes, sorry. Kid.
You just tell the story, and I'll cut that.
My kid, that's fine. That's all right. We can be authentic like Dolly and show that
and
you're
it's
like
less editing for me, and show that I'm a monster.
We're showing what an asshole you are as a co-host. Anyway, yes, my kid ate the soy sauce drenched broccoli, barfed it, and then kept eating it at my not insistence, not the barfed up stuff, but I mean the rest of the broccoli. He still suffered through it, and I remember his face looking at me like, you're a piece of shit, and I'm going to tell a therapist about this one day.
I'm going to tell my therapist about having to hear that story because that makes me traumatized.
And finally, number 1, that I yell too much. Context there being, and I do not think I yell that much. Anyway, years ago, we used to live across the street from a high school for kids who are disabled, have special needs, etc. And my daughter was explaining to her friend, oh, that's a high school for special needs. And she was very young, maybe in preschool. And her friend said, oh, what do you mean by special needs? And she goes, oh, well, special needs. Like some kids can't walk. Some kids have special needs. Like me, I have glasses. And my dad has special needs because he yells too much.
Wow. Yeah. That's harsh, Ty.
I won't ever forget that one.
All right. What's next week?
I completely forgot to think of one.
Wow, guys, this is the real Gavin. Talk about authenticity.
It is. I'm back on the booze. I'm back on the sauce, meaning caffeine, booze, and chocolate. And so now I've lost my brain power.
All right, next week will be top 3 reasons why we should fire Gavin from Gaytriarchs.
So today's guest is a pioneer in the surrogacy economy. He has served as the CEO and partner of Growing Generations out of Pasadena since 2001, when he was a high school intern, of course. And he's got his hands full being a father to a 16-year-old. Holy shit, how do you do it? Helping Growing Generations grow and expand, including, I believe, international surrogacy services to parents, both gay and straight. And then also as a new Broadway producer. Welcome, Stuart Bell. Tell us, when will the revival of Legally Blonde on Broadway be your top priority?
There's only one answer, Stuart, so continue. Go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
It's actually Cabaret, but I would love to do Legally Blonde.
I wasn't even going to go into that because what we care about most at Gaytriarchs is Legally Blonde, and when is it coming back to Broadway? Can you make that happen?
But also, I don't want a new vision. No. I don't want a new cast. I want a replica from 2003, just picked up and put right back into 2024. Yeah.
Well, please do work on that. Tell me, in all seriousness, how has your kid driven you crazy today?
I would say today was pretty good. It's early here, so it's not over. But this morning went pretty well. I think the biggest thing he does that drives me crazy is he leaves clothes and shoes in the floor. And so I make him pay me $20 every time he does it. And
whoa!
And
That's
he
a
still does
businessman
it.
talking.
Yeah.
Oh.
He still does it.
But are you getting paid?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You would like stick with it. You're not just bullshitting. He really, wow.
This is a good business, Gavin.
It is.
We need to get into this business, charging our kids for being dirty.
Stuart, if you employ us to come and nag him about his clothes, can we keep the money?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
That is some serious incentivizing and also some serious 2023 business there. But speaking of 2023, then I want to jump straight into growing generations and the surrogacy industry because, and also for full disclosure, this is embarrassing. I didn't mention that we went with Stuart and growing generations for our surrogacy journey, which was, of course, amazing. And Stuart was one of the first people I met in the process, and he walked us through it all, and we asked all of our very huge questions about what the hell is this journey all about? And you can tell why it's a successful business thanks to Stuart. But tell us, you've been with Growing Generations for, oh my gosh, a couple decades now. How would you say the surrogacy landscape has changed in those decades?
Well, I mean, I think when we first started, it was very taboo and people didn't know much about it. And so, you would tell someone, I remember I met my husband 21 years ago, and I remember when I met him and he said, "What do you do for a living?" I was almost embarrassed to say because I would have to explain it. But now I think everybody in the United States knows what surrogacy is because celebrities have done it. They've been open about it. And so I think that's the biggest change is it's just very normalized.
When did that change?
I think about 12 to 15 years ago, we started seeing it change with some of the celebrities talking about their surrogacy experiences in the media. And you had young women who were maybe even teenagers reading articles in People magazine and going, "Oh, I want to be a surrogate." Or you had gay men saying, "Oh, I didn't realize that was possible." We got our first story on 2020 in 1999, which showed Wilhelm and his family having their second child. And it was a beautiful piece. Barbara Walters introduced it, so that was really fun. And they did a great job. But even back then, they felt they still had to have the other side. So the other side was some right-wing guy that was like, gays shouldn't have children. So you would never have that today.
Agree. No.
Yeah.
No. But it's interesting too, is like, was the majority of your clientele straight people or gay people or both? Like I'm interested about like the percentages have changed, if they've changed.
So we started as an all gay company. So we only worked with gay men for about the first 10 years. And then it was almost the opposite of what happens in our lives as gay men. We got a call one day from one of our gay clients, and he said, "Look, I know this is out of the ordinary, but I have this straight couple that needs your help, and they're really nice. Would you consider it?" And we actually had to talk about it. We weren't sure. And so that has been a big change. We started working with straight couples, and now it's about 50-50, about 50% straight, 50% gay.
It must feel good to be gatekeeping for the straights. Do you know what I mean? Just a little bit of retribution. Be like, I don't know, we'll decide if you can come in. How about that? Yeah.
Exactly. And I will say, like, this was, because she's 27 now, so our first gay baby, who was born to Will and Marceline, and Will's the attorney that we work with for all of our clients, they had to find a doctor that would even help them. And most of the doctors said no. And the doctor who finally said yes said, "You can't tell anybody I did it." That's how scary things were 27 years ago. And today, every doctor wants the gay business.
Because we're trendy and we're cool. So how was Growing Generations different from other surrogacy companies over the years?
Well, I think we've always viewed helping people who others wouldn't help. So first that was the gays, and then it was people with HIV, then it was single people, people who didn't have a need for surrogacy. We have straight couples who could have their own children. And so there's a lot of discrimination in our field. And there are doctors that say, well, if you could carry this baby, you should. Well, a lot of women may have anxiety about pregnancy. They're scared. Maybe they have a career that's on fire and they don't feel like they can stop right then. So there's a lot of judgment. And Growing Generations has always tried to be a place that's like, look, we're not here to judge you. We're here to help you. And really, our only caveat would be if we don't feel like we could find a good person for you. If a surrogate wouldn't say yes to you, then we couldn't do it. But we're not here to be the gatekeepers for anybody. And so that's been a big difference. And then also, we're very service oriented. And so we feel our job is not just getting you a baby, but having you have a great experience. So that when you leave the process, you go, wow, this was really wonderful. And I got a perfect surrogate and Growing Generations took care of me. That's what we live for. And we have people who have been at this company like myself for over 20 years. It's the kind of place nobody ever leaves. So it's a very special kind of culture that we have.
That's so interesting to hear of people who could biologically reproduce or, have their own kids and choose not to. Like, I'd never even considered that. But when you said like, oh, the anxiety or whatever, the medical risks or whatever, it is an interesting. Yeah. And I can see how those people would be maybe a little bit shunned because you're like, you can have your own kid. What are you doing here? Get out, Super interesting.
Well, and then in your position as CEO, I know that in this case, it's Growing Generations isn't huge. I mean, it's you have to wear many different hats, I would imagine. What is the biggest challenge for you on a day-to-day basis?
Well, luckily, I'm no longer the CEO. My business partner, Tio, became the CEO about 10 years ago. So when you guys were coming through, I was the CEO and I had a lot more headaches. But today, mostly my work is working with, telling people about the process. And then I do carry a small number of my own kind of high level cases of celebrities or people who just need extra care. But Mo, I don't think I really have any headaches except, just calming fears. As going through this process, people are really scared. And especially the first time you do it, you're super scared. The second time, it's a little easier. So that's probably the biggest thing that I face is those phone calls where they're like, help, I don't know what to do.
I really hope you didn't consider Gavin one of your celebrities. That would be really sad. That would be really, really sad.
I did. And I actually saw Gavin in Priscilla. And I was just like, I got to go backstage. Right. I was in heaven. So yes, he is one of my celebrities.
Wow,
right. I love that.
That's a big deal.
Listen, I think Stuart is definitely somebody who treats extraordinary people ordinarily and ordinary people extraordinarily, I would say. You are so diplomatic because actually I kind of expected your response to be like calming fears and dealing with people that I would have labeled as needy and demanding. And you are far too diplomatic to do so because we know ain't nothing more annoying than demanding parents of expectant parents, newborn parents, toddler parents. Parents, we're the worst. We're the worst.
But also I think what you have to deal with, you have this like twofold thing. It's like the used car salesman thing where like there is a predatory nature to things that are highly emotional, right? Like the wedding industry, all that kind of stuff. So there is this weird predatory nature that you can feel going into it. But then also on your side, we as emotional people doing this crazy thing are already on edge. We're already acting crazy. We're already irrational. So you've got this really narrow tightrope to walk of like trying to make sure that you come across as somebody you can trust and also having to deal with the insanity of people sometimes when they get overly emotional like that. I could never do it. I don't have the patience for it.
Well, I think it's a lot of improv. I learned that, especially when I first started working with people who are very wealthy or people who are celebrities, is no can't be in your vocabulary. It has to be yes and. And so it's being where people are and then stepping into their world, but then holding their hand and saying, well, here maybe is another way we could look at it. And that seems to work much better than saying, no, you can't do that.
So on a much more superficial level, of course, I realize you cannot divulge all of the celebrities you've worked with, but can you tell us about totally fangirling out about working with people that might render you speechless or just shocked to be in their presence?
If you Google growing generations and certain celebrities, it will come up. I can't personally say anything, but
We'll definitely put that in our show notes.
Yeah. But, our experience by and large has been that celebrities have been great to work with. We treat them just like everybody else,
Sure.
in the way that we care for them, but we also give them the space to create kind of a customized approach that may work better for them. For example, they may need to be anonymous to the surrogate for the first period, maybe the first, quarter of the pregnancy or something like that. And then it becomes more comfortable for them. But, celebrities are used to having people do things for them, and we're really good at doing things for people. So it seems to work pretty well.
That makes sense. But come on, have you ever been like, oh my God, I can't believe the conversation I just had? Or, holy cow, I can't believe I'm talking to this person. Even knowing you went through the introductory interview, not showing your sweat whatsoever, but were you fangirling out after?
Yes. There have been a few times I have been invited to people's homes, their private homes. Or like one time I did a meeting at the Beverly Hills Hotel in a suite because they didn't want to be seen in a doctor's office or something. So yes, definitely I've met extremely famous people, and I've been in delivery rooms with them, where their baby's been born. And that's where you see that we're all the same, because when that baby is born and you see their faces, they are not celebrities anymore. They are parents. But yes, I certainly and the great thing is nobody's let me down. A few of the people that I was huge fans of, and I didn't tell them I was fans of theirs, but my biggest fear was that they were going to end up not being very nice people, and they were all just great. Probably because what we're working on together is, a joyous process for the most part.
Yeah.
Just in case our follower doesn't really know, can you quickly explain kind of what a surrogacy agency does? So like for me, I did a gestational surrogacy twice. Both times we did it independent. So we didn't have an agency. So you could just tell kind of us in general what an agency would do.
Sure. Well, we find out what you're looking for in a surrogate, and then we find the surrogate, we screen the surrogate, we case manage the entire process. So you would have a team of people working on your case. And for our celebrity clients, they usually get attached to one of the owners of the company. So I carry a caseload. My business partner carries a caseload. So they often want us at the deliveries. We might have to hire security. So there's a lot of extra things that can go into working with high-level celebrities that we do for them as well. But in all of our cases, it's the full case management. Every aspect we're kind of managing throughout the process. So we're writing the checks, making the appointments, keeping everybody informed of what's happening.
I have to say that certainly worked for us, though we didn't need security, obviously. But it really was amazing to have an organization that was really taking care of everything. So we didn't have to worry about anything. It was quite a privilege to work with you all. Okay, so now tell us about your 16-year-old. Holy shit. How is that? How do you deal with a 16-year-old?
Well, we're pretty lucky. He's an athlete, and he's a basketball player, and that's his whole world. So we have not been in that situation where he's kind of gotten into any trouble. He got in more trouble when he was like in third grade than he does now. He's really a good kid. They had their formal last week because they were out of school on Tuesday, so they had it on Monday night for some reason. I don't understand, but he was home by 9:30. He said it was boring. I would have been out drinking and smoking. But he's a really good kid. But I think, as I mentioned, he's a basketball player, and he's going to be going to IMG Academy in the fall for boarding school for his junior and senior year. And
is that a basketball related thing? Is that why he's doing it?
Yeah, so you might remember it's the old Bollettieri, I think is the name, tennis school, where kids went in Florida. And then they've expanded it, and actually Endeavor owned it for years. They just sold it. So it now has all the different sports. So if your kid is a sports kid, it's a great place for them to go for camps or for school. So he'll be going to school there. And
how do you feel about that? Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about it, though? Obviously, you want to support him, but how do you feel about him going away at age 16?
I think the British had it right. This is the right time.
Oh, all right. All right.
Maybe even younger, but 16 is definitely the right age for them to be spreading their wings.
Now, when in your process with your husband and working at Growing Generations, did you say, yeah, I want to do this too?
I started at Growing Generations about 22 years ago or 23 years ago, and I met Alan 20 years ago. And so the first day we spent together, he was like, what do you do for a living? And I told him, and he said, oh, I know your company. I actually am setting up a consult to meet with you guys. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And so he was prepared at the age of 28 to be a single dad, and he was already pursuing it. And so when we got together, our big joke is, he married me for a baby and I married him for a pension. So it worked out great.
It's funny. We were talking prior to you jumping on the call about earlier in the episode about, when you have a kid who is in sports or is doing something, that balance of how much you push them because it's good for them or it will eventually pay off later, and how much of the I don't want to do you succumb to. It's hard for me because I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, so I'm not at tennis lessons, but I am at swimming lessons, and the pool is too cold and I don't want to, and I know it's good for him, but I'm like, where's that line? Have you felt like you've struggled with that line before?
He had an epiphany a couple of years ago that this is what he wanted. And I've never seen a kid go after it like he does. We don't have to talk to him about anything related to sports, but what we do have to talk to him about is grades. So that's where we have to push, because when you have a sports kid, the school part of it, the education part of it, they don't care that much about. And so we've really had to talk to him about having a plan B if this doesn't work for him. And, he said to me once, stop being negative. And I said, look, I am not being negative. I'm being realistic in that have 95% of your focus on basketball, but 5% needs to be over here where you're saying, okay, if I get an injury, if I can't end up doing this as a profession, is there something else in that field that you might enjoy? So for us, it's been more on the education side of pushing him to say, you've still got to keep your grades up. You got to get A's and B's. You got to be able to get in college.
I always look at it as, this is your job. Your job, my job is to keep you happy, healthy, fed, housed. Your job, the very least you can do is try your hardest in school. But I am trying. No. You are literally not trying hard enough. But it's the very least you can do. And somehow he's got to earn that $20 to pay for you every single time he leaves the clothes on the floor. So keep at it, kiddo. So what has been... luckily, you have a pretty easy kid, but was he easy when he was younger? Or like you said, before 3rd grade? How was his toddlerhood and early childhood?
That was actually really good. He didn't start kind of having any issues at school till about 3rd grade. And I think that's when the boys and the girls kind of separated, and the boys started forming cliques, and they didn't like this boy. And so that was a period that was not so much fun. We got called into the principal's office, and, they actually, they put 4 of the boys, including my son, in what they called, jail, where they had to go in another classroom to do all their work. So, but again, that's minor compared to, what I've heard other things happen. We're in this nice private school where, they're going to be pretty good to the kids. So,
yeah, jail at this school is probably going to be a pretty sweet setup, but they don't realize that because, it is what it is. Well, what about, I'm sure that there were horror stories from your early fatherhood. Because we do love a good horror story from toddlerhood.
Yeah. Tell us when something just went all wrong.
Well, I think one of the funniest things, he was probably about I don't know, maybe a year old. And we had gone up to San Francisco, and we were staying in this beautiful suite at the W. And two of our friends came over who didn't have kids yet, and they wanted to see us and see the baby and all that. So I could tell he had a dirty diaper. And so I went to change it. And, I put him on the bed, and my friend comes over and she's watching me do it. And he wasn't done yet. And it was explosive diarrhea that started spraying everywhere. And I screamed to my husband. I said, Alan, get a towel from the bathroom. So he runs into the bathroom. He comes out with the towel. He sees it. He throws up in the floor. So I have one that, it's ridiculous. So I was like, I can't even with you two, because I
can
do
have a
anything
human being in this room that isn't ejecting liquids from their body. Can we just please?
And then our two friends ended up never having a baby. I think that ruined it for them. They were like,
I feel like the human population would reduce drastically if we were really honest about the goings-on behind the scenes. Speaking of, my daughter this morning had to have one of those morning baths, because when she woke up and we opened up that diaper, my husband, I could hear from the other room, just went, nope. And then I heard the bathtub turn on. He's like, no amount of Kirkland wipes can quell this fire. So that's nice.
So, Stuart, I am curious. One more question about Growing Generations is, I know you've gone through a lot of changes over the last couple of years with expansion and refinement and whatnot. What is on the future do you envision of the surrogacy world, and what is Growing Generations working towards in the next 3 years or so?
Well, we have partnered with a company called North Star Fertility, which has kind of put us together with other brands of kind of the best of that particular type of organization. And so, right now we're really happy that we're able to offer opportunities at all different levels within one company. So it may be that, you're a celebrity and you want to go with Growing Generations, or maybe you're on a, more of a budget and you want a more fixed price opportunity, like with Circle. We have a new egg bank, which is going to do some amazing things to kind of bring the cost down in that, but also provide really great quality. So I think our goal is to offer as many opportunities to as many people as possible. And that's what we're working on.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Okay, so we like to end every interview with the same question, which is, what is the best part of parenting and what's the worst part of parenting?
The best part of parenting for me, it changes as they grow. So when my son was little and I was taking him to school, we would walk out the door and he was holding my hand, and I would say, Quentin, I have something to tell you. And he would say, you love me? And I would say, yeah.
Aww.
And that was like every day. And that's like the best memory I have. Now, the best part of parenting is seeing him actually make his own decisions and do the things he wants. Because we would never have sent him to boarding school. This was his choice. He was like, can I please go, Papa? And I looked at him. I said, well, I just had taken the tour. He had been at camp there. And I said, well, they actually want you. And the look on his face, when you can get that look out of a 16-year-old where they are like, oh my God, yes, I want to go here. So that's the best part. The worst part, I would say, is just the complete lack of appreciation for anything that you do.
Yep.
Cleaning up diarrhea, sending him to boarding school, none of it.
No gratitude whatsoever. We hear you. One final question. You are obviously in the business of giving advice, frankly. I would imagine you constantly have to give advice. What is your advice to parents of newborns?
Well, if you can, get as much help as you can, in the beginning, because it is really, really hard, whether that's a family member or whatever. Don't try. I think a lot of first-time parents think they need to do it all themselves to prove something. No, you don't. Hillary was right. It takes a village. So just accept that. And the other advice I would say is every stage has its pros and its cons. And that's still true today. So, I actually kind of didn't want my son to get diaper trained because it was so easy, to just handle the diapers. And then when
So
he got
true.
diaper trained, when he was diaper trained, then it was like, oh my gosh, we got to find a bathroom,
Yep, you got to pull over on the side of the highway. You have to teach your kid. You got to hold it. You got to hold it. You got to hold it. You're exactly right. Diapers it keeps you on your schedule. It's much more convenient, frankly.
But what you motherfuckers forget is that these diapers are expensive. Do you realize how expensive diapers are? And if you don't have one on you at all times, that's when the explosive diarrhea happens.
Of course.
I tell the story all the time. Like, I have carried my child naked out of so many malls, it would blow your mind, because I never think ahead. Like, make sure, because I always go, we're just going to pop in for 10 minutes. I don't need the diaper bag. I don't need to bring a whole diaper bag. But then you fucking forget it. But I also know my 4-year-old is potty trained, and it's the same way. We're about to get in the car for 20 minutes. Do you need to go to the bathroom? No. 5 minutes in, I have to go to the bathroom now, or I'm going to pee my pants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Not even 5 minutes later. And it's always extreme.
Yeah.
Stuart, thank you so much for, frankly, making our lives more possible and better as parents. Truly, you are a pioneer, and good luck with dealing without your kid next year at boarding school. Holy shit. But most of all, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So my something great this week is, it's going to start off bad, but daycare has all the days, right? There's the 100 days of daycare.
Oh,
Jesus. You have to dress up like an old person. And then, so the 101st day is Dalmatian Day, of course, obviously. And so you have to dress like a Dalmatian, and kids are fucking dressed in the night. Anyway, so I'm not buying a costume. So I said to Emmett, I was like, we're going to dress in black and white, and you're going to be a Dalmatian. He goes, okay. He did not want to wear any of the white clothes. So he's wearing all black. And I said, well, Emmett, we have to have some white so it looks like, and he said, I'm a Dalmatian who went through the ashes in the fireplace. I'm a dirty Dalmatian. And I was like, that's true. That is a great workaround, and you're a fucking genius. And so all day he's like, I'm a dirty Dalmatian. I'm a dirty Dalmatian. And it was fucking adorable. So
there's more to unpack.
That's a problem solver, right? That's
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And life is a little more fun when you're a little dirty anyway. Yeah. My something great is just that I was right. I was right. And last night, when my daughter went to bed and I was saying goodnight to her after our tennis drama that turned into tennis happiness, she turns to me and she said, okay, Dad, you were right. I'm glad I went today. And I was like, you know what? Good. That's all you need to hear once in a while, right?
How do you not gloat to her, though? How do you not be like, yeah, bitch, I told you? Like, how do you?
Well, I probably did. I didn't say I told you so, but, my smirk was condescending enough that she knew. She knew. And that's our show. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general compliments, you can email us at GaytriarchsPodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast on the internet. David is at David FM Vaughn everywhere. And Gavin is at Gavin Lodge on nothing.
Please leave us a glowing 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, and we'll spike the football next time on another episode of Gaytriarchs.